we do have some fights coming up next week in the boxing world. We're going to touch on them very quickly. The first one being the hometown kid, Jaron Ennis, fighting out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is going to be his debut. He's moving on up to 154 pounds. Obviously, the former champion at 147. And I'm not familiar with this guy, bud, and I'm going to get familiar here in a second from you. He's fighting against Uisma Lima, who fights out of Portugal via Angola. Now, Lima has fought in 6 different countries, but he's never fought in the United States, making his pro debut here in the States. What can we expect in this one? Ennis comes in as a tremendous favorite. Can Lima shock the world?
Lima's tough. He's a tough, rugged guy, and let's remember now. Let's look at it all. Ennis, there's no doubt, Ennis is the more advanced fighter. He's the better fighter. He's more talented. He's technically superior, much more polished. He's definitely got, he's got more in his arsenal and his repertoire of choices of how to go about the sweet science. He's tall, he's long, he can control the outside in this fight. Lima, to have success, Lima has to get close. He's a pretty good inside fighter. He puts punches together pretty well. He's physically strong. He's, like I said, he's tough. He's shown a good chin. I've seen him get hurt a little bit, but that was in his toughest fight that he's had so far. But he's shown durability. He's shown resolve. He doesn't have a chance on the outside. He's gonna have to get in close. Here's the problem. Ennis will be able to have his choice. Being with the length that he has and the skill set that he has with the jab, he'll be able to try to keep Lima on the outside, make him pay a price to get close. I think he's going to have opportunities to catch Lima and maybe hurt him on the way in. But then ultimately the fight's going to wind up on the inside if Lima is going to get his way to have any opportunity to win and pull off what would be a monumental upset. And when he gets inside, that's where Lima does his best work offensively. But he squares up. And he's also vulnerable in there. And I noticed he gets hit with uppercuts at a pretty good rate. I also noticed that Ennis has a pretty good uppercut. And I think it's up to Ennis. If he wants to beat him on the outside, he beats him. Maybe he goes rounds. But if he wants to go inside and show that, I'm moving up and I'm bringing everything with me, and he wants to show that, which fighters sometimes want to show because they want to be able to justify the bigger fights and get the bigger money, and no better way to do it than to have a knockout performance. Again, the question here is, and I just touched on it, but can Ennis step up and weight and carry his power? That's people are going to be looking for that. He's fighting a guy who's up in that weight, has fought at that weight. Can he do that? I think he can. It's an interesting match. It's the right match for his debut, in a way, right? Of going up, and we're looking at him in this. I know he's fought heavier in spots to, fights that were non-title, but it's going to tell us about him moving up and how comfortably he moves up to that weight class. I think when it does wind up on the inside, he will have the choice of fighting in there, even though that is Lima's only chance, because his punches are faster, his punches are shorter. Lima's punches aren't as concise. He's not as polished. So I think Ennis has a chance to do it either way, inside, outside. For me, the whole thing comes to this. Does it go the distance or not? And if Ennis gets inside and wants to be inside and puts punches together, I don't think there's any doubt he's going to catch some good, clean uppercuts or shots. But it's going to be a matter will he catch him 3 good clean shots? In other words, if it's an uppercut, will there be a left hook right hand behind it? If he does that, I think he's got a shot to stop Lima. If he doesn't, Lima's a tough son of a gun. You know, maybe he convinces, that silent agreement. I don't know. Maybe he convinces Ennis to just, take the high road, win the fight on the outside, not go inside as much, and you go the distance. But I'm saying I would be betting on a good shot for Ennis to want to get a stoppage, again, to want to put his flag out there in this weight class, to want to show the audience, I'm here now. And if that's his attitude, he goes inside probably, puts punches together, not just one shot, but 3 or 4 in a row, because he will be able to hit Lima with combinations if he puts them together. How's that?
That's excellent. You painted a picture now of Lima for me, and I think that was a great breakdown and prediction there. Ennis by KO. If the guys want to know the under/over 7.5 rounds, come over to the ropes. Teddy might pinpoint the exact round for this one. So we'll get up the link there. That's TeddyAllisBoxing.com. That's his new platform, The Ropes. And the last thing I want to leave you with is this, but let's assume the huge favorite Ennis does win and gets past Lima, right? What do you want to see next? So he's ranked number 1 for your new boy, Abbas Baru, new champion there, WBA. He's also number 1 ranked for Sebastian Fundora's belt by the WBC, which Virgil Ortiz also has a belt as the interim champ. And then there's the new champion by the WBO, Xander Zayas. He's also ranked number 1 there. The only one he's not ranked number 1 for is Motrazayev, the IBF champion. Out of those names, if you're Camp Ennis, who do you want next? Or just as a fan, what fight do you want to see next?
That's a loaded division. Really, those guys aren't household names, obviously. I can't even pronounce some of their names. But they can fight. They can fight. They're real. That's a loaded division. That really is. It's going to be, look, this ain't going to shock you, bud. But at the point that Ennis, with the amount of fights he's got now and where he is, they're going to look for the fights that obviously make the most money sense too. Some of those guys, it doesn't make as much money sense. I mean, the same reason why there was a period of time where everybody wanted Crawford and him, but it didn't make sense for Crawford, who had already escalated himself to that place, to that Mount Olympus, by taking a risk, by winning those divisions, different, weight divisions, and winning those titles. He was up there. It didn't make sense for him to fight a talented guy like Ennis, who hadn't made his name yet, hadn't made his bones yet to bring that kind of money for that kind of risk. It's business. Like Hyman Roth said in The Godfather, it ain't personal, it's business. So I think you got the same situation with Ennis is, got a little more, obviously, name recognition than a lot of those guys, other than of course Virgil Ortiz and Fundora. Fundora, is he in that weight class? Is he the one up?
154 pound champ.
Yeah, I'd probably think about that. I mean, Fundora's a son of a gun with that jab. He never stops. He never stops coming at you, and he's 7'8", and he's coming at you, and he's throwing that jab, but you can hit him. He'll break you down if you don't hurt him. You better break him down. You better get his attention. But you can hit him. He has been stopped once. You can hit him because sometimes, being tall becomes a negative for him when he gets close, sometimes. And even in the fight that he dominated, and he was beautiful in a fight against Zoo in a rematch, he got caught some shots that if I'm in the corner, my heart is like, all right, come on, get that head out of there. Don't get hit any more of those. Because you get hit 2 of those instead of 1, you don't know. So, that's me as a trainer. I'm looking for guys that I think have vulnerability too, and I'm sure they would look at that. Some of those other guys, I don't know.